Now let's name more guys who aren't on the team, because that's really what people care about. I gave my all snub team, which you can read over at Yahoo, of course. Now, you mentioned Lindor. To me, Brandon Nimmo is more deserving than Francisco Lindor. I think I understand it's easy to pull up a F4 leaderboard and be like, what a joke. How is Francisco Lindor not on the team? Francisco Lindor is having a good season. He is an outstanding defensive shortstop who is a good hitter, and that is why his, Fangraphs WAR is so high. But I don't like, to me, there's just so many other players who are having outstanding seasons for them, especially. And while I agree, when you look at Francisco Lindor, the fact that he hasn't made an All-Star game in however many years is very weird. And if he's there, he of course deserves it. Hasn't met. Like, I don't, it's fine. I have no problem with him being there. I just think that there's other guys who have stood out so much more than him in a way like I don't know. So if you think this is Lindor hate, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think he's really good. But do you agree with me? Do you know what I mean? Like, did he feel like he's having one of the best seasons of his career? Like, I don't think he would say that.
He wouldn't say that, but there's also a standard, right? Like, he set that's really high, and it's complicated because, again, his WAR is really high because he's a very good defensive shortstop who hits well. But if you look at offensive production, I mean, if you do WRC plus, right? Like, he's behind Jonathan India, like he's behind Michael Busch, he's behind. He's been good, and again,
like, he's an amazing player. He is a franchise shortstop. There are very few shortstops I pick ahead of him, and like, I do like the idea that, like, the fact that he hasn't been All-Star, like, that is someone who we should be defaulting to in the way that we are in some of these other positions, and the players are not.
And I think that's, let me be clear. That's what people have I think people have a problem with when it comes to Lindor, is that he should be the Marcus Semien. We default to this guy when there's no other option. He has earned that, and he deserves that. And for whatever reason, he hasn't gotten that type of respect. And I think that's what irks people. I do think that he will end up there. And I think that I do also agree with you. It's not as simple as sorting by F4. Like, there has to be more than that. That being said, I think that Lindor still passes a different type of barrier.
Yep, that's fair. That said, I think Nimmo was one of the biggest snubs last year, and I think this year even more so when you consider, some of the other. Like, I just think he has proven that he is absolutely at this level, and I think he deserves it. Christian Walker, absolutely as well. Has been one of the best first basemen in baseball. Even before he had this obscene hot streak in Dodger Stadium, he should be there. And then Willie Castro, who I also mentioned with the Twins. I just think too, if you're looking at Twins, that's one that I'm not surprised, people have not totally noticed. Him and Josh Smith both fall in this category as, like, you think about them as like, oh, these nice little utility players. Now, Castro was better last season than Josh Smith was this year. But those are ones where it's like clearly deserving. Jordan Westberg, another one. I know he didn't end up on my list. And then in terms of pitchers, like, I'm more inclined to focus on the position players, because usually the comparisons are much more easier to be like, how did you screw this up? Whereas the pitchers, Clay Holmes aside, there's so many pitchers that I would want to pick. There's so many starting pitchers. I mean, I listed 5. You could have named 15 that I feel like had a really, really good case. And so it's harder for me to get too worked up about those. Although I will say that Ronel Blanco is the one. Sure, the peripherals aren't as good as his ERA, but what he has been for Houston this year, talk about, where would the Braves be without Reynaldo Lopez? Where would the Astros be without Ronel Blanco? Which is an absurd sentence to say, but it is the truth. They've won 12 of his 16 starts. He has been just a godsend for this disaster of a rotation, inexplicably, mostly due to injury. And he's awesome. And I wish that's the guy that, like, this could be his best chance to make an All-Star team. And I wish he was rewarded as such.
The biggest one for me is Christopher Sanchez of the Phillies.
Sure,
but I would imagine he'll be the Zach Wheeler replacement. That
would make a lot of sense.
Makes sense. But again, if you're a Phillies fan, right, on Monday morning, and you have the most All-Stars in franchise history, and your one takeaway is, where's Christopher Sanchez? Like, let's find the joy, right? Like, let's celebrate Matt Strahm and Jeff Hoffman. I think Sanchez will end up being there.
Totally. Anyway, if you want more snub content, obviously, I wrote about that, so you can check that out. All right, Jake. Well, we talked about the All-Stars, and there will be more. Again, we will have more coming, and we will have those injury replacements, and those will make people at least mildly less angry.
Just quickly, most likely to try and get out of the game. Like every year there's like one or two players who I think the best was Rendon. There was one year Rendon was healthy and he's like, I just like don't want to do this. Who's your pick to finagle their way out of the Midsummer Classic?
Yeah, I don't know. Like Semien is an interesting one.
That would have been my pick, but he can't because it's at home.
Right. Like I can see him being like, he has, I think, the lowest OPS of anyone on the team by far. So that's one place to start. Like he probably knows, like this is kind of weird. I mean, he probably feels obligated to do it at home, but also it's like there's even more. There's like literally even more to do. Like he's going to be even busier as the Rangers All-Star. And if there's anybody that needs a nap, it's Marcus Semien. I mean, part of the reason why the players love him so much is because he posts, right? He plays every day. So Semien, I can imagine, like, I don't think Rangers fans are going to be mad. Like he might be like, "Hey, Josh Smith, you go instead of me," because this is I don't want to deal with this.
Semien will go. I think you have to be one of multiple selections. Like you can't bail if you're the only guy on your team. That's a huge component of it. So for me, I think the obvious pick is actually Will Smith. I think Will Smith as a catcher is like, I've done this before. Like, I don't want to, oh, my knee, my back.
I'm a catcher. Yeah, that's true. Like, have fun, Teoscar. I'm chilling. I'm gonna hang back.
You guys kick it.
That seems very, very plausible, but we will see. Again, it will end up with more All-Stars, and that is certainly a good thing. Okay, we will take a break, and when we return, let's talk about the baseball from the weekend. We will organize it into a few of our favorite segments, and we'll run through it. We'll be right back on Baseball Barbacast.
And welcome back to Baseball Barbacast. Jake Mintz, Jordan Shusterman. We spent too much time on the All-Stars because we love the All-Star game. Actually, don't. We like All-Star Week. The game
I like
itself.
everything involved. Like I like talking about the All-Star teams. Like from the moment that the reserves get announced to the end of the Home Run Derby is where I care. Once we get to the game, couldn't care less.
The second they start the red carpet, Jake Mintz and Jordan Shusterman have officially tapped out. Dude, the red carpet in the Texas heat is going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
They better do that inside.
Where
they better do that inside.
That? Or like,
I can guarantee you,
misters like we saw in Phoenix.
I can guarantee you know who's not going to be there? Us.
Yeah, no, you won't see us the red carpet. Sorry.